Hello, everyone. Today, I am welcoming you again on our podcast channel for a very great session we are going to do today. I am Shahnaz, your host, and today we are welcoming somebody really special. A Mumbai native and a 13-year Dubai resident, Ms. Zohra, has 17 plus years of medical research expertise, having led MENA region for Ipsos. She had shaped global treatments for cancer and autoimmune diseases. A dedicated yogi and a mother, she blends deep biological science with a passion for Vedic chanting. Let's dive into this podcast today with Ms. Zohra. Welcome to the podcast, Zohra.
Thank you so much, Anas. It's a pleasure to be here today.
So, just give me a glimpse what you are going to talk about today and what kind of audience should listen to the podcast today.
So, Shana's talking about pregnancy, especially of a working woman, where I was not too long ago, about 7 years ago. And my pregnancy journey told me about all the gaps that are existing today. And there are so many questions a pregnant woman has, but not all the answers are received when you visit a gynac for 15 minutes in a month. A lot of your pregnancy is actually happening outside the gynec's clinic. So in my first trimester, when I had so much anxiety about what should I eat, how should I move, should I be doing exercises or should I only rest, I didn't really receive the right responses. In fact, I received a lot of misguidance as well because anything about diet, movement, or handling emotions is completely out of syllabus for the medical fraternity. And I wouldn't like any other woman to go through the anxiety and ending up with a C section with a lot of regret, which is what I went through to happen to anyone else. So I'm here today to provide the guidance that women are looking for during their pregnancy.
That's great. So, next we are welcoming Mr. Aman, an IIT Bombay graduate. Aman transitioned from high level governance with PM Modi and Bill Gates to founding Yogbirth. Having a life altering illness, he traded corporate strategy for authentic yoga, building the UAE's favorite community and raising over $60,000 for charity under 2 years. So, welcome to the podcast, Aman.
Thanks, Shanas. Thanks for the invite.
So, I would like to also know from you what you are going to pass information today and how this can help to people.
Sure. So, Shahnaz, every month, almost 1,500 to 2,000 pregnant women reach out to us, and they have several kind of questions pertaining to their physical well-being, mental well-being, emotional well-being. And in this age and era of ChatGPT and Claude, where there's no limit on access to information, what is lacking is clarity. Now they are flooded with information, but they want to clear the noise and get something which actually serves them. So that is what we want to share with them today.
So let's quickly dive into the podcast where all your audience have certain kind of questions which I'm going to ask you today where you can explain how this can be helpful for them.
Sure.
Fear and anxiety during pregnancy. Many women experience overwhelming fear during pregnancy like fear of pain, complications and even childbirth itself. From your experience, where does the fear truly comes from?
Okay, Shanas. So let us understand that there are three main sources of fear, right? First of all, fear comes when you are hearing a lot of negative birth stories from friends, from family, from colleagues, and you are absorbing all of this, or you're watching some scary YouTube videos about birth. Secondly, fear comes when you're lacking a good support system at home, which means your husband may not be as emotionally available as you might like him to be, or maybe your parents or your in laws are adding to your stress instead of releasing it,
Mhm.
right? And thirdly, stress comes or fear comes of the unknown. When you don't have enough information and you don't have another source other than your gynac, who you're only going to meet for 15 minutes in a month.
Yeah.
So, when you don't have a pregnancy coach who can answer your questions, who can guide you in the right way, then you are always worried about what's going to happen, and the uncertainty really kills you. So, these are the three reasons why fear exists.
What is the most frequently asked question by pregnant moms in Yogbirth community?
The most frequently asked question is, how can I have a healthy pregnancy?
Okay, so if that's the case, please tell me how, about the ways how to stay healthy in pregnancy.
Yeah. So, when we talk about health in pregnancy, the first thing that comes to your mind is nutrition and food. and movement exercise, right? But I would like to point out that that is not the most important thing. The most
Okay.
important thing is your nervous system health. Because if you're going to remain stressed and anxious, your
Mm.
cortisol levels will be high, growth of the baby will be affected. Even if you're eating the best of food, the absorption will not be right. So,
Okay.
first, it's super important that the mother is happy, relaxed, and stress free.
Okay.
The second, what is most important, is that of course your nutrition is good. You are eating the right food. You're
Mhm.
not overeating, thinking you're eating for two. And there are many other parameters. Food itself is a huge topic. And
Okay.
also that exercise should not be seen as something that is against pregnancy. In fact,
Okay.
the right prenatal movements, gentle and
Mhm.
guided,
Okay.
can really help and aid in healthy pregnancy. And finally, I would say emotional health and also the relationship that you have with your partner. If the
Mhm.
two of you are going to start a family, it's super important that you work on your relationship to make it a strong foundation.
Okay.
And if you've been carrying any emotional baggages, let's
Mhm.
remember we are not just passing genes to our baby, we are also passing that emotional blueprint. So it's so
Okay.
important to work on ourselves during the pregnancy phase.
Okay. So in this personally, I have one question. So like as you say that it's not only about food, it's about everything like what we go through and everything. So in today's modern world, women also work and equally take part in the society in terms of working and making money and things and all. So during this timeline, how to deal with this thing, the stress which comes from the work and the environment and
Yes,
everything.
yes,
So what would be the best steps we can carry out? Of course, we cannot quit the job or
yes,
something like that. So
absolutely.
yeah.
So, rightly said, Shanas, we cannot eliminate stress,
Mhm.
but we can manage it better. So,
Okay.
we can learn tools and techniques on how we can manage the stress and disconnect from it instead of absorbing it. So,
Okay.
let us not be like a sponge, but probably like a mirror who reflects it back, right?
Okay.
This
Got
is
it.
what a yogi is all about. So, we
Okay.
teach techniques
Mhm.
of breath work, meditation, awareness, which is the first step. Once you are aware that
Okay.
this is affecting you, you will automatically start to disconnecting, with it.
Mhm.
And there are many other techniques. I mean, I can list about 10 different techniques on how
Okay.
you can manage stress better, and I'll talk more about it as
Okay.
we go along. But yes, stress can definitely be managed so that you and your baby can remain healthy.
To add to that, something which is very important is prioritizing. So a lot of women don't prioritize themselves or their wellness during their pregnancy.
Mhm.
So if they have that mindset where they want to prioritize, they want to dedicate at least 1 hour working on themselves,
Okay.
then everything else can be managed, which is
Mhm.
yoga, breathwork, meditation. Like there are different techniques,
Mhm.
but the first thing that comes is their priority.
Okay. Okay. I guess that's well said. Like managing the stress is a new thing we all have to learn, I guess, because
Yes.
people usually try to how to omit or avoid or remove the
Yes.
stress. But
Yes.
actually that is not possible. We should learn to manage the
Yes.
stress.
And stress, in fact, is of two types. There is negative stress and there
Yeah.
is positive stress. And stress is not something that is always bad.
Bad.
We need some
Okay.
kind of stress
Hmm.
so that we are excited to go to work
True.
every day. And
True.
every day in the morning, cortisol levels are a little high. And that is how nature has made us. Only
Hmm.
then man would go out hunting. Otherwise, he would
Okay.
just be sleeping at home.
Yeah.
So, stress is important, but we need to know how to manage it.
Great. So moving on to the next question. If, as you were saying, diet is so important, what is that they should take care of in their nutrition on their daily life?
So, whenever we want to talk about diet, there are two objectives in mind: the well being of the mom and the well being of the baby. So, let's discuss the well being of the baby. In pregnancy, the diet is designed for optimal fetal development. So, in first trimester, generally it's the brain, the neural pathways that are being developed, and the eyesight, the retina is being developed. So, this is the time when moms should consume more omega 3 fatty acids, more walnuts, more vitamin A like carrots, spinach, eggs. This ensures that the neural pathways and the retinas are developing well.
Okay.
In second trimester, it's mainly the other organs that start developing. So this is when we have to take care of all the micronutrient profile, the vitamin A, B, C, D, K, potassium, zinc, selenium, iron, magnesium. All of the micronutrients are super important at this stage for optimal development of the organs. Now, when the mom moves in the third trimester, which is when all the organs have already developed, now the baby's muscles start to grow and bone density starts to increase. So this
Okay.
is the time that moms should take in more protein and more calcium. This ensures optimal fetal development. But this takes care of just the first objective, which is the health of the baby. We also want to take care of the health of the mom. So here
Uh-huh.
what is recommended is based on her dosha, her prakriti. She should get an Ayurvedic plan customized to her needs. But general guiding principles are you should eat something with low glycemic index because you don't want gestational diabetes to happen. You want to control your insulin levels, you want to control your sugar levels, and consume more fiber rich food because
Okay.
in pregnancy there's a hormone disruption, there's
Hmm.
competition for space within your intestines as well. So that causes a lot of constipation. So consuming high fibrous food helps you with that.
Okay.
In fact, that reminds me, when I went to a gynec and I asked, what should I eat? They said, have 2 liters of milk a day. Right now, this is completely not as per the guidelines because we don't
Okay.
need to eat for two. We need
Hmm.
to eat only 300 extra calories in the second trimester and only about
Okay.
500 extra
Hmm.
calories in the third trimester. So we don't have to eat for two, but what we need to do is we need to improve the content of the food in terms of the micronutrition that we are giving ourselves, in terms of the healthy fats, and in terms of the complex carbs that we are eating. So when
Okay.
this is managed, then most of the things, and we should not depend only on the prenatal vitamins, because the way food can be absorbed in the body, vitamins and synthetic supplements cannot be absorbed.
But it's a very usual thing we all get to hear that you have to eat
Eat
for
for two.
two.
Yes. Also, it is very important that in the third trimester, we start having galactogogues, which are foods that help in the production of milk in the body.
Okay.
Because lactation is not something that starts after you deliver,
Hmm.
but your body starts preparing milk from the first trimester itself. And in
Okay.
order to aid the production in the third trimester, we can include foods like moringa, like shatavari. Again, it all depends on your
Okay.
prakriti,
Hmm.
but certain foods can be included in the third trimester to boost milk production.
So, what are the most common complaints pregnant women usually comes up with you guys?
The most common complaints that we hear is back pain and breathlessness.
Okay. Okay, which means what is the best way to like handle this during the pregnancy?
Sure. So let's talk about back pain first.
Mhm.
Before we address how to solve back pain, let's first understand why back pains happens in the first place
Mhm.
so that we can deal with the root cause. The womb of a woman is expanding as she progresses in her pregnancy. It
Mhm.
keeps expanding. And imagine if the weight forward is increasing, the woman tends to lean her shoulders back just to
Okay.
counter her own weight, just to be able to walk.
Mm.
And this creates an arch in the spine.
Okay.
This arching in the spine causes disc bulge. This is the thing that causes back pain. And
Mm.
as you can imagine, once the woman starts progressing in her pregnancy,
Mm.
the bulge forward is going to increase, the womb is going to
Okay.
expand more. That means
Mm.
the arch backward is also going to increase. So this pain continues to increase. So what's the way to solve for this? The way to solve for this is working on the spine, essentially two things. One is strengthening the muscles around it. Second, creating the space between the vertebrae so that the disc does not bulge. How can you do that? You can do with cat and cow pose. You can do that with spine lengthening. You can do that with figure of four stretch.
So now I'd like to know like how to solve the breathlessness.
Sure. Okay. So let's understand why breathlessness is such a common challenge in pregnancy. So there are two ends to it. First is the demand and the other is supply.
Okay.
Because the baby is growing, this development that is happening inside the womb, the requirement for oxygen increases. So there's a higher demand.
Mm.
At the same time, this is coupled with lesser supply, and that happens because as the womb expands,
Mhm.
it starts competing for space within your internal organs. So
Okay.
that puts pressure on the lungs. So lungs' ability to inhale oxygen, so to say lungs capacity, that reduces while the womb expands. That is the one that creates shortage in supply. So what can be done in such cases is
Mhm.
to work on lung capacity, you work on breathing exercises, you work on your diaphragm strength. This ensures that you don't face breathlessness. Along with that, it has an added benefit because when you practice slow and controlled breathing, it also helps calm your nervous system.
But these are definitely the challenges for later stages in pregnancy. What is the most pressing fear in the first trimester, Sora?
Yeah. Bleeding.
Mm.
Bleeding is one of the red flags every woman is looking out
Mm.
for. And when
Mm.
there is even little bit of spotting,
Mm.
they get really tensed up and worked up.
Mm.
And immediately they want to meet their gynac to know why is bleeding happening and is this and does this bleeding mean miscarriage? That's
Yeah,
the first threat
true.
that they are all
Mm.
worried
Mm.
about. Yeah.
Mm.
So let us understand that bleeding does not always mean miscarriage. In fact, most of the times it's a healthy pregnancy, and bleeding will happen because of three reasons. So one
Mhm.
is because the implantation has just taken place. So when something is entering the uterine lining, a little bit of bleeding may happen. Secondly, hormonal changes are taking place, increased blood flow is happening now to the uterus. So again, some spotting may take place. And thirdly, sometimes there is a clot between the placenta and the uterus, and that might cause some bleeding as well. So yes, it's important to check with your gynac, but at the same time, we don't want women to start panicking till the time they meet the gynac and
Mhm.
have those stress induced hormones being released in the body. And
Okay.
at such times, a pregnancy coach is really helpful to give you the right guidance and to help you calm down.
So a lot of women have this preference for a natural delivery. Is that something they have any control on, or it's just a random thing?
Sure. So before I address that, there are, by the way, ways people can influence the way they're going to deliver. But before that, I want to tell you, we should not demonize C-section, so to say.
Mm.
It's a life-saving practice. It is something that has saved so many lives of newborns and sometimes moms as well. And we have seen a lot of women, they start cursing themselves or become anxious after delivery because they couldn't deliver naturally.
Yeah.
So we should not demonize C-sec, but yes, there are ways, there are three practices, so to say, that one can do, which ensures there's a good 90-95% chance of natural delivery.
Okay.
So we have seen that within our community, almost 95% women have delivered naturally.
Okay.
And the three things that we help them with is, first thing is opening of the lower pelvic bone. So
Mhm.
there are stretches, there are exercises, there are movements and drills that a mom can do in her third trimester, which helps open up the lower pelvic bone, which makes it easy for baby's head to pass through it. That's the first thing, which is in our control.
Mhm.
The second thing in the control is the position of the baby.
Okay.
Often it is considered that baby's position is out of our control, but babies are designed with their own survival instinct. So they are designed to align themselves in the way which is easiest for natural delivery. And they would do it if enough space is provided. So when you do exercise and movements which creates good space in the belly, that
Okay.
aligns the baby in a way which is easiest for natural birthing.
Okay.
And
Okay.
the third thing is managing the pain. So this has two different elements within it. The first thing is being able to do exercises, drills, breathing techniques which reduce the pain. And the second part is, once the pain is there, which is the inevitable part, learning how to increase the pain tolerance.
So how to manage this pain without a fear?
In order to manage pain without fear, what's most important is that we prepare for birth. Just like if we were to go for an examination, we would
Okay.
prepare and go, and that automatically reduces our fear, right?
Mm.
The same way, when we feel that we are completely in the hands of the hospital and the gynac and we don't need to prepare at all, that
Mm.
is when fear is the maximum.
Mm.
Now, if you've prepared your body through pregnancy, like Aman said, through physical movement, through
Mm.
the right nutrition, then you
Mm.
know your baby's growth is fine and
Okay.
that your body is already prepared to
Mm.
open the cervix in order to allow your baby to pass.
Okay.
The second stage that comes is how do you manage the pain that
Mm.
comes along with birthing. Now, this pain, let us understand, is not like the pain of an injury. This pain is programmed and it is designed in a productive way to allow your baby to pass. So, this pain we need not fear. And once you stop fearing this pain, you become connected with your body and you allow this pain to progress in a way
Mhm.
that
Mm.
it helps your baby to come out.
Okay.
So, when we fear, what happens is we are resisting it. This is one pain we don't need to resist. We need to
Mm.
learn how to flow along with it, how to breathe with every surge.
Mm.
So, if you learn the right breathing techniques,
Mm.
then you can distract yourself and your pain withholding capacity automatically increases. Another scientific reason is, and studies have shown that when the woman is relaxed, endorphins, which are your natural painkillers, they increase in the body. But
Okay.
when you are stressed,
Mm.
endorphins, we are not allowing them to increase naturally in the body and cortisol increases.
Mm.
Once cortisol increases, we are disrupting the entire system from
Okay.
the way it is
Mm.
supposed to
Mm.
normally operate. Secondly, we all need a support system. If I tell you go and appear in the exam alone versus if I say you have someone with you to take care
Yeah.
of you, you feel supported. The same way, the partner has also to be trained in the birth process in order to understand how he can support his wife and simple things he can do. He can do
Okay.
breath coordination with the
Mhm.
wife.
Mm.
He can give certain massages in order to relieve the pain. He can help her calm herself and emotionally regulate herself. He can offer hydration and offer certain snacks to eat at the right time. If he knows how to take care of her, especially emotionally,
Mhm.
then most of the time, half the work is done. And again, studies have proven that whenever the partner is offering the right emotional support, not just by being there physically, it's
Yeah.
not about marking your attendance,
Mhm.
it's about knowing what to do while you are present there. At
Okay.
that time, lesser interventions are required and the birthing process is much smoother.
Okay. So I guess fear will be transformed into more calmness when you have the understanding of why this pain is happening, how to deal with this. Mainly, people don't have another option than fear. That what is the other option? If I don't want have to be fear for this pain, what else should I do? I guess the more awareness they come up with, the
Yeah.
fear will go off
Mm.
to handle this pain. I guess, right?
Absolutely. You need to invest time in order to learn, educate yourself on how to manage
Mm,
this entire birth process. And then there is no need for fear.
great.
I'll add to that. So, generally, key deciding influencers for the way a woman is going to feel in her pregnancy are essentially two kind of stakeholders. One is their doctors,
Mm,
they tell something, and the other is the family, parents, partners, all of that. The thing with doctors is women want more time with the doctors, but they're not getting so much time. And the
okay.
thing with families, they get so much advices from the family. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's difficult to follow that and it conflicts with each other. And now they also feel bad saying no to their family members.
Mhm.
This is where they need somebody in between who can give more time than a doctor,
Mm,
but less interference in their day to day activities like a family member.
okay.
That's where having a coach really helps. The coach will give answers to all your questions, all your queries. At the same time, because you're not seeing the coach throughout the day, you have your
Mm,
own freedom and liberty to take your intuitive calls and not being judged for that.
okay. So we often talk about childbirth, but not enough about what comes after the childbirth. And also, why do so many women feel mentally and emotionally unprepared for postpartum life? And how can Yogbirth prepare them beyond just delivery?
Mhm. While the woman is pregnant, she's only preparing to welcome her baby. She's
Mm,
not preparing to welcome a mother, which is her new identity.
mm,
And as soon as she delivers, her estrogen and progesterone drop.
mm.
She's moving into a new identity.
Yeah.
She's deprived of sleep. She's only giving the baby but not receiving anything in return. So even though she has the best creation in her arms, she still feels upset and she still has the postpartum blues and she is confused as to why should she feel this way. When women are educated during pregnancy
Mm,
along with their partners, because even males go through postpartum depression because they also have the identity shift, and also they are sharing the wife with a new baby and they don't
mhm,
have their wife as available as before, it's important that both partners go through an education session where they understand what are postpartum blues, why do they happen, and how can that be prevented from turning into a postpartum depression.
okay.
So that when there is awareness, even if you're going through it, which everybody goes through, postpartum blues are normal, you will not be blaming yourself for going through this, but you'll be
Mm,
more accepting of it, and you would have already strategized and thought of what can you do when you are going through that phase, so you are better prepared and your partner can then support you to come out of it as quickly as possible.
I'll add to that. So, like 90% women go through postpartum depression. And the worst way to manage this is say something like, hey, 90% women go through this. You're also going through this. What's the big deal?
mm,
That's
mm.
the worst way to manage it.
Yeah.
A better way to manage it is understanding what are the reasons for postpartum depression before it has happened, and understanding out of these which are the reasons which could be applicable to you.
Uh,
And once you understand those things, so what we did at Yogbirth is we identified 17 different reasons that
okay.
could trigger postpartum
Mm,
depression. And we understand which out of these could be applicable to a particular person. And then
okay.
we sensitize the people around them, their birthing partner, their parents, their in laws, their doctors, their nursing staff, their friends, their colleagues. We sensitize the people around them that these are the things you should not talk, these are the things you should not say, these are
Mm.
the safe words, these are the no go words. Once we do that, it is very easy to mitigate the risk and the anxiety related to postpartum depression.
So, a lot of women feel the urgency to get back into pre pregnancy shape and also go into guilt trip for their changed body. What can be done to lose weight and regain the body back?
Okay, thanks for asking this. This is something that we have heard a lot of time. I want to take a step back before I answer that question. The first thing is that you should not feel bad about the body, and you should not feel that urgency. You have just created a new life form. Okay. That itself is a very heavy process on the body. So it's okay to take some time, it's okay to relax. The second thing is, when somebody goes directly into weight loss mode after delivery, the only way for it is calorie deficit. You go into a calorie deficit diet and that's how you lose weight. But the challenge is, a mother's body is now producing milk, and the milk requires protein. So if you're going into calorie deficit, but the baby needs the protein, so the body starts pulling out protein from your body. That's why a lot of women lose 23%, up to 23% of muscle mass in first 6 months of post delivery.
Okay.
So we should not hurry into this thing. Now, are there things that you can do to lose weight and come back to pre-pregnancy shape, form, and fitness? Yes. So during the pregnancy, there are 4 things that contribute to weight gain: the weight of the baby, the weight of the amniotic fluid, the weight of the placenta, and the increased fat in the body. Okay. Out of these 4 things, 3 things go directly away at the time of delivery: the weight of the baby, the weight of the amniotic fluid, and the weight of the placenta. The only thing that the body still holds is the increased fat. So if we do the right things while pregnant, postpartum weight loss becomes a lot easier. If you have your food on point, if your nutrition is on point, and your workout is on point, you don't gain a lot of fat during pregnancy. So the weight that is gained immediately drops off. We have seen women in our community who got back to their pre-pregnancy shape, form, and fitness anywhere between 2 weeks to 2 months of delivery. And we have seen others who haven't done the right work. They struggle for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years just to get back into the pre-pregnancy shape, form, and fitness. So the right approach is working while you're pregnant rather than just pushing yourself or guilt tripping yourself after delivery.
Okay. Okay. So it's like mentally you're preparing in and out everything. It's not only about childbirth, it's about after that what will happen to you emotionally, and about your concerns on the weight and things like that. Because weight is something, a bigger part of pregnancy women always been concerned about. I guess that can be handled like in a proper way if you take proper measures, like having something in terms of in this way, like having proper also knowledge is also required on this, like what is your body, what is happening with you. So understanding that instead of just blaming or having a guilt conscious towards this, right?
Absolutely. In fact, what you eat during pregnancy is not just about staying healthy, it also impacts the epigenetics of your baby. So while your baby has certain genes which it is inheriting from the mother and father, those genes you can consider them as switches. Which switch will be turned on and off depends on the kind of diet and the emotional environment that is being provided to the baby. Right? So we all have healthy and unhealthy genes, but whether the unhealthy genes will be turned on or off, it depends on what was the environment that was provided to us when we were in the mother's womb. And hence, it's important to take care of your diet and your emotions so that you make sure that your baby's right genes are being expressed.
Okay. So usually they say that it's very easy to lose weight immediate after pregnancy within like 2 to 3 months of timeline. Is it true?
If you do the right things, it is true. Again, it isn't the right pursuit, so to say, because producing good quality milk with high protein is more important than losing weight immediately. But if you do the right things within 2 to 3 months, it's possible. We have seen cases where the women were taking care of themselves and they lost weight in 2 weeks, in 1 month, in 2 months. And we have seen cases where women weren't taking care of themselves and it's already 5 years, they are still not back to their pre-pregnancy shape, form, and fitness.
Okay. So for these practices are like, is it really hard or is it like can be taken in a very nominal way? Because certain ways we back home we try and do, which are more harder. Which that's why most of the women start like paused those kind of activities to like reduce weight. I hope you know all of these things. So do you think this practices are more easy for everybody? Can be like able to adapt this and do?
Yes. With the right knowledge, with the right guiding system, it is a lot easy.
Okay.
What we generally need as input is just time. If people can spare, let's say, anywhere between 40 to 60 minutes a day for their own well being, that is more than enough to take care of their nourishment, their mental well being, their physical well being, everything.
So after a pregnancy, since we have been discussing about weight loss and things and that. So, what are the other elements which women feel concerned about?
Sure. So there are essentially three things which are important in postpartum body recovery. The first phase is the tummy tuck, because during 9 months your womb expanded, your belly came out.
Mm.
So women
Mm.
feel, when is it going to come back?
Mm.
Okay. And that this is decided by a muscle called transverse abdominis muscle. So when you work on the transverse abdominis muscle while you're pregnant, it makes it very easy for you to get back to your pre-pregnancy shape
Okay.
after delivery, because the transverse abdominis muscle was active. That can be done through basic exercises such as plank holds, beast
Okay.
holds.
Mm.
If you do that while you're pregnant, it makes it a lot easy for you to come back into pre-pregnancy shape after delivery. The second part of postpartum body recovery is pelvic floor. A lot of women would say after delivery, hey, whenever I sneeze, I tend to pee a little.
Mm.
And this is something that happens because the process of birthing takes away 80% of your pelvic floor strength. So your pee is no longer in your control.
Okay.
And the way to solve this is again working out while you're pregnant. When you work on your pelvic floor, when you strengthen the pelvic floor in your second and third trimester,
Yeah.
then it will take you a maximum of 2 to 3 months to regain all the lost pelvic floor strength.
Mm.
So your pee would be in your control within 2 to 3 months rather than 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
And the third part of postpartum body recovery is your spine. Like we were discussing in the beginning, that back pain is one of the bigger problems as the womb expands, the spine arches. Now imagine after delivery, the baby is out and you hold the baby in your hands.
Yeah.
So you're already holding a lot more weight at your front. That means you have to recline your shoulders back, and that creates more back pain. So the third
Okay.
part, a third element of postpartum body recovery is working on the spine, the ability to keep it strong and the ability to bend back without hurting.
Okay. And I would like to also ask on this factor or the elements which are concerning women after pregnancy. Don't you think menstrual cycle after the pregnancy is also an important factor, and how you guys can help on that?
Sure. So menstrual cycle is dependent on two elements. There's one, the egg side, and the other, the womb side.
Hmm.
The womb side is governed by your hormones progesterone and estrogen, and the egg side is governed by your hormones FSH and LH mainly. Okay.
Okay.
So FSH and LH are easy to regulate right after delivery.
Okay.
Whereas progesterone and estrogen is something, because they increase so much while you were pregnant, that requires some restoration time. For
Okay.
some women, it could be as small as 15 to 20 days. For some women, it could be as high as 2 months.
Hmm.
So that's why after delivery, for a duration of anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks, women bleed every day, which is
Okay.
their body resetting the uterus.
I would say the hormonal health of the woman before pregnancy is super important, because a lot of women are having PCOS
Hmm.
or they are having endometriosis, and just to get pregnant, they may take some injections for ovulation to manage and get pregnant.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that the root cause has been sorted.
Hmm.
So, what happens is after delivery, whether your periods will come back regularly or not, it
Yeah.
depends on how your health was before getting pregnant.
Oh.
So, if your hormonal balance was off, it
Hmm.
might actually worsen if you haven't taken care of it before getting pregnant.
So here comes my favorite part, partner support and emotional gaps. So many women feel emotionally unsupported during their pregnancies, not because of their partners don't care, but because they don't understand what to do. What role should partners play, and how can they actively support from this journey?
Yes. I would say when a woman gets pregnant, there's a dynamic shift that's happening in the relationship. Now she's going through mood swings. Her
Yeah.
energy levels are low.
Hmm.
She wants to sleep immediately as she comes back from work, right? She's not able to do most of the chores that she normally does.
Hmm.
Similarly, with the partner, the physical intimacy now reduces,
Hmm.
right? And the husband, most of the time, says, I understand you are pregnant, but he doesn't really, because he's not going through it.
Hmm.
So, at this point of time, it's so important to work on the relationship to bring them closer. And at such times, community support and someone who can help the partners to bond is super important.
Hmm.
Now, at Yogbirth, for example, we've had couples who've seen that emotionally they are now distant, although they are pregnant.
Hmm.
And we've helped couples come closer by improving the communication between them, by
Okay.
helping them to talk from the heart and not just talk about the daily routine chores that we end up talking about. Right?
Okay.
We help them to introduce more empathy in the relationship.
Hmm.
We help them to develop a communication channel which feels more conducive rather than more controlling, right? So we work on multiple aspects of the relationship when the couple is pregnant, and we've seen like amazing results
Mm.
where the woman has said, this is the first time, like in my first pregnancy, I didn't feel my husband being close enough to me. In fact, we grew distant, but this pregnancy I feel like he is with me. So as much as the couple can maybe work out together, go for walks together, spend time in the evening to talk to each other without the cell phone, which is the biggest disruption in today's world,
Okay.
the better the relationship will be.
Okay. So also Yogbirth during these sessions give more like clarity on to the men that what is the woman is going through the pregnancy. It's not only about the 9 months of pregnancy, then the baby comes. So men usually know only this
Yes.
terms. So later than that, like what exactly happening to them? Do you also like convey these kind of things to them during these sessions?
Yes. In fact, we are having couple bonding sessions on a weekly basis. So every week we make sure that the couple is coming together and
Okay.
that the wife is able to exactly translate her feelings and the
Hmm.
changes that are taking place to the husband
Okay.
and set her expectations from the husband, because
Okay.
today her expectations will be different. She
Hmm.
will need more support. But especially being a working woman, they feel really shy and they feel like
Hmm.
I'll be considered weak if I ask for support.
Hmm.
So we allow that safe space so that she can uninhibitedly ask her husband for what she requires. And similarly, we educate the husband about the different phases of pregnancy, the different phases of labor, what she will be really experiencing and feeling, and
Mhm.
not just about what will be happening. Right.
Okay.
So this is the difference when we are talking about Yogbirth supporting couples,
Okay.
and they definitely feel more supported,
Mhm.
and it makes the journey very, very fruitful.
What is the main one question you usually get to hear from the couples during these consultations?
So mostly husbands want to support, but they don't know how to support,
Hmm.
right? So one of the complaints we hear is that my husband doesn't really understand what I'm going through.
Hmm.
This is one of the common complaints. So here we help the husbands especially understand what is the role they can play in
Okay.
helping the woman.
A lot of times, what men believe is if I'm going to all the doctor visits with my wife,
Hmm.
and if I'm taking care of all the extra work, so to say, let's say grocery, driving, all of
Hmm.
that, that is enough. I'm doing my work.
Hmm.
What they don't understand is they need to do something more than this.
Right.
And the bigger challenge is not that they don't want to do it.
Hmm.
The bigger challenge is that the women in the relationship also don't know that they need it from their partner. So they're
Okay.
not able to communicate it.
Hmm.
So, a part of our discovery process is to help women get in touch with their own emotions, understand themselves better so that they can communicate it to the partner.
Hmm.
And at the same time, we want to normalize the situation for the partner as well.
Okay.
Because for some men, it could be they feel my wife is too demanding at this stage. She
Okay.
shouldn't be so demanding. So we
Hmm.
have to help the husbands also understand that this is normal, this is acceptable.
So, do you think there is a shift has been happening between couples also, like from like the times have been there when men used to say that this is not my part of job. I don't need to think about all of these things. They don't usually used to accompany to the hospitals as well. Now they are into the labor rooms and things and that. So I guess now we can see a lot of shift in men also. Like they have the understanding capacity what exactly is happening. So how you think that it is helping you guys when during these sessions?
So we do see men partnering and taking responsibility in our session.
Mhm.
But if I were to speak on a global level, we are far from what it should be.
Okay.
The husbands still do not participate. It just so happens the people, the families where the husband is participative, they are the ones who encourage them to join our program. So
Okay.
within our program, we see husbands participating.
Mhm.
But on global level, if you were to ask, the participation from husbands is still very, very less.
Okay.
And that is something that as a civilization, we need to work on.
So it's a final question. I want to know that what is the one weird uh, question you have heard so far in your yoga birth, a whole of this timeline, like working on a lot of couples, successfully treating a lot of cases and things and all. What is the one weird question you have heard that you still remember?
So the most weird question that we have heard is, can I exercise in first trimester?
Mm,
There's a lot of fear mongering around the first trimester
mm,
where the women are restricted,
mm.
and they've heard it from their friends, family members, sometimes doctors as well. That's unfortunate that in first trimester you just have to be a couch potato,
Okay.
sit, do nothing, do
Okay.
don't do any mobility. You do this will lead to miscarriage. You do
Mm,
that will lead to miscarriage.
mm,
So there's a lot of fear mongering. So we hear this a lot of time where women say, can I do workout in first trimester? And the answer is yes. You
Okay.
just need to learn to listen to your body. Let's say your pre-pregnancy fitness routine was already established. You can do anything, let's say one third the intensity of what you were doing before you got pregnant. So first trimester exercises are not only safe if done in the right way, but they are also important, because if you skip those, you develop the first trimester symptoms such as nausea, fatigue, morning sickness,
Okay.
all of that. But if you do the right movement, right breathing exercises, then these symptoms are also less.
Also, what I've heard is a lot of husbands are very paranoid about their wives doing online prenatal yoga. They feel
Okay.
something goes off in online prenatal yoga, it can harm the baby. Let us understand that the baby is hiding under several layers. In the uterus, there is amniotic fluid, there is layer of fat, and then is the baby. Just like we do our normal core, we go to office, we do our household work. In olden days, people used to even climb up, clean the fan, do the mopping, do everything normally, right? I remember my mom doing it.
Okay.
But today we've just become overprotective and we are overthinking. Yoga cannot harm your wife even if she's doing it online, especially when it is under supervision and it is gentle guided movements which are trimester specific. There is nothing that can harm the baby.
So, any goosebump kind of moments or words you have heard so far?
So many.
So
Can you
uh,
share any?
yeah, sure. So we had a student. Her husband was in the Navy,
Okay.
and he was not able to take leaves and come for her delivery. So
Okay.
she said, I'm going to be alone in the delivery room. My husband will not be here and he will come only after 1 month of
Okay.
me delivering the baby. She said, I want to make sure that my delivery is really smooth and I want to have a normal delivery, a vaginal delivery. And she was a part and she was doing her yoga regularly. And when she entered the delivery room, like there was no birth partner. Otherwise, we
Okay.
train the birth partner how to reduce her pain, how to, support her, give her water, give her snacks, and breathe with her, do a
Okay.
couple dance, etc.
Mhm.
But she was like feeling like very lonely out there.
Okay.
However, she trained herself so well on all the breathing techniques that the
Okay.
moment she entered the labor room, in 30 minutes, she
Okay.
was done. In 2 pushes, her baby was out, and she
Okay.
was so happy that her labor was almost pain free. So that was one moment I truly remember.
something that I'd like to share, this happened before we started teaching. We were learning. We were in Rishikesh, and our teacher was telling a story from her experience. She used to go to rural villages in India to help Anganwadis who would help pregnant and nursing mothers. And she saw one super pregnant mom, like 9 month belly, and she had an X on her shoulder and she was
Okay.
going towards the woods. She asked her, why are you going towards the woods? You're so pregnant. She said, hey, I want to fetch woods for my daily household.
Okay.
So the women went. And our teacher, she just stayed and she was worried for this person.
Okay.
Later in the day, she saw the woman coming back. On one shoulder, she has all the woods and the eggs, and on the
Okay.
other hand, she had her baby. So
Okay.
this woman, she delivered herself without any medical aid, without any supervision, without any support. She did all of that while fetching woods. She didn't
Okay.
even stop fetching woods. She brought the woods with her and the baby with her. So
Okay.
that's how strong women are. And like as I say, I get goosebumps right now as well.
Okay.
So that's how strong women are. And that's what happens once you unlock your own intuitive powers. You don't have to rely so much on external guidance or noise, so to say, once you tune into your own internal energies.
The people who will be most excited to tell you about their birth stories are the ones who've had negative experiences.
Mm.
They'll always be there without even asking for advice. They'll come
Yeah.
and tell you to scare you, right? And here, community plays a very important role. So, we had a student who was very afraid of normal delivery. And she said, can I speak with someone who's gone through a normal delivery because I want to know that it can be easy? So, because we have a community and a community is full of positive birth experiences, be it a vaginal delivery or a C section, they've all been very positive. So, we've had students who we can then introduce them to. And once they have a word with them, they hear of a positive story, they feel so much more relaxed and confident to go through
Okay.
their own. Similarly, we had a student who had a planned C section because of certain complications. But
Okay.
again, she was very afraid of going through the cuts and again wanted to speak with someone.
Okay.
We made her talk to somebody who had recently gone through a C-section. And after that talk, she was so excited to go through a C-section. So the
Okay.
way you change your perspective about delivery matters so much depending on your environment. And a community provides the right environment for you to have a positive birth experience. And that's what I would wish for every woman.
That's well said, I would say. So thank you so much, both of you, for the wonderful session today. I guess a lot of questions which was like unanswered for many women and the society. Today we have discussed a lot, and inshallah, I will hope for more and more sessions with you guys to talk about more common questions which pregnant women and their family members have. Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much,
Thank you so much,
Shahnaaz.
Thank
Shahnaz, for having us.